Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Melissa Siegel. I'm a professor of migration studies, and this is a channel about all things migration. And today we are going to be talking about what lessons we have learned over time on how governments can support diaspora contributions to sustainable development. Now, this video is based on a brief that I wrote together with Jessica Hagen-Zanker as part of the MIGNEX Project, which I've talked about a lot on this channel. Feel free to check out these other videos on MIGNEX that I have already put out on my channel. So what I am going to cover today is actually based on some output that came out of the MIGNEX Policy Conference. So what's next for EU migration and development policy that we held in April 2024. And there we discussed how governments can harness the positive potential of diaspora in a policy roundtable. So what I'm going to explain here are 5 key messages and key takeaways that came out of that policy roundtable on how governments can better support diaspora contributions to sustainable development. Now, let's first get caught up on definitions, right? So let's make sure that we're all on the same page with who the diaspora are. Now, the term diaspora traditionally refers to a group of people who have moved all over the world from an ancestral homeland and can have a number of other characteristics. Now, see a previous video on my channel specifically explaining diaspora, the term, where it comes from, and diaspora engagement, if you want to know more about that. Now, in general, in policy terms, diaspora often refers to the population of current immigrants, or there can be a number of different definitions that are used by governments. But for effective policy making, really a rigid definition here is completely irrelevant. What governments need to do is to take really a pragmatic approach to defining their diaspora and considering who is targeted in engagement efforts. For some countries, it might make more sense to target first and second generation immigrants, whereas for others, perhaps much more ancestral diaspora that were perhaps even enslaved more than 400 years ago in the Americas might be a relevant group to include. So here we really just want to see governments taking a pragmatic approach to what makes sense for their specific context. Now let me get into these 5 key takeaways. The first is that where there is a will, there is a way. Now, while it often requires a serious investment and commitment from governments, when governments really get serious about engaging their diaspora, we can really see a multitude of positive outcomes. So to reap the largest benefits and see the clearest results, approaches to diaspora engagement really need to be holistic, and they need to be tailored to different parts of the diaspora. Now, this means targeting specific groups to be successful. This could be, for example, targeting older groups or targeting younger groups, or the first generation or second or third. It could mean specifically targeting the highly skilled or the lower skilled, or it could mean specifically targeting diaspora in different destinations around the world. Now, this way, governments are able to tap into a larger range of skills and competencies that can help to fill different needs in the country. A good example of this is actually Ghana. They have really gotten serious about engaging their diaspora. They have really targeted the diaspora living across the African continent, but also in North America and Europe. And they've not only targeted the first generation of migrants in those regions, but also second generations, third generations, and they have tailored their outreach processes to each of these generations. They've also targeted now a more historic diaspora from the period of the slave trade, who are currently residing in the Americas for more ancestral forms of tourism and new links with Ghana. And this holistic approach has led to really a big movement of people investing in the country and engaging in significant ways, and in some cases even returning. Einstein Nitim, who leads the innovation, engagement, and communications arm of the Ghana Diaspora Affairs in the Office of the President, actually explained about the policy that Ghana's diaspora engagement policy acknowledges the diverse nature of diaspora communities, including the continental diaspora, Ghanaian migrants and their descendants, and the historic diaspora Africans displaced by the transatlantic slave trade over 400 years ago. Our strategy aims to harness the potential of these distinct diaspora communities for mutual socioeconomic development, leveraging their unique strengths to foster growth. So you can really see that this is a very clear and substantial policy of the Ghanaian government. Now, the second key takeaway is that initiatives should also involve the private sector, or at least have some initiatives that involve the private sector. So many current diaspora engagement initiatives are initiated by governments or civil society, but there's a real opportunity here to bring in the private sector. So for example, in Lebanon, the diaspora in France has been instrumental in developing the tech sector through partnerships there. But these kinds of efforts need an enabling environment to take advantage of all the benefits that diaspora can bring. And of course, this is not only for bringing in the private sector, but more generally, the diaspora really needs an enabling environment. And creating this stronger enabling environment, like improving the ease of doing business, not only fosters local development, but can also facilitate collaborations between the private sector and the diaspora. Now, the third takeaway is that there is no trade-off between integration in the country of destination and contributions to development in the country of origin. So we also know from plenty of research that there is not a trade-off between integration in the hosting country and whether or not people will contribute to development in the country of origin. So generally speaking, individuals who are the most integrated in destination countries are often the ones who are contributing the most to development back in the countries of origin. Now, this has to do with a number of different factors. So for instance, people who are the most integrated, so those who have jobs, have higher levels of education, understand the systems in the countries where they are living, so in the countries of destination, are also those that have the greatest capacity and capability to be able to contribute to development. And we generally see that people who are highly engaged and active in one country are then much more likely to be engaged and active across the board. So also then in their country of origin. So integration and contributions to development in countries of origin, we should really be seeing them as complements to each other and not substitutes. The fourth key takeaway is that integration and rights are critical to creating an enabling environment. It's not just the country of origin where there needs to be an enabling environment, but also in the country of destination. Integration and access to rights in the country of destination facilitate the diaspora to contribute in a more meaningful way. Oleg Shatira from ICMPD has said that empowering migrants through secure legal status and robust integration policies unlocks their human potential to drive development. The better immigrants are integrated, the more they participate in the socioeconomic, political, and cultural lives of both their heritage country and their host countries. Furthermore, enabling environments that recognize the intersectional nature of their identities amplifies their contributions and reduces inequalities. So you can see again here by this quote that we really need to have enabling environments both in countries of origin and countries of destination, and integration plays a key role in making sure that the diaspora can contribute in meaningful ways. Now, our fifth and final takeaway is that we also need to bring the diaspora into diaspora programming. So what that means is that the diaspora can also support development indirectly by advancing and supporting development agencies in their programming. So Germany, for example, has set up a Diaspora Advisory Board for the program Shaping Development-Oriented Migration. Now, the idea is that this advisory board works closely with Germany's development agency, GIZ, and the Federal Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development. So, these are the 5 key takeaways on how governments can support diaspora contributions to sustainable development. So to reap the largest benefits, approaches to diaspora engagement need to be holistic, they need to be tailored to different parts of the diaspora, and with a significant commitment from government, being very willing to bring in other actors like the private sector or like the diaspora themselves to create that programming. Now, I hope this video was useful for you. If it was, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Feel free to share it around. Tell us a little bit about your own experiences with diaspora engagement or other initiatives that you know of that can be seen as good or best practices. If you haven't done so already, of course, make sure you subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of the videos that we upload on a regular basis on different migration issues. And I definitely hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.